It's me again. Okay. Surprise, surprise. Okay, today we're continuing our little series on our service standards, and today we're talking about something called patient obsession. I have a question for you. That's not my question. What does obsession mean? Anybody know? You love it so much. Okay. So if I was to say I'm obsessed with them, that means I love it so much. Is obsession a good thing? Sometimes, no. This was the general answer. I don't know. If you're obsessed with somebody you're not dating, good or bad? Yeah. If you're obsessed with your spouse, good or bad? Whoa. Okay. So let's work through the word obsession. Obsession means, and this is why we're defining it today, write this down, an idea or a thought that continually preoccupies the mind or intrudes a person's mind. So the word obsession can be bad if it takes over our mental consciousness. But the word obsession is important to reframe how we want to treat our patients. We want them always at the forefront of our mind. It's interesting, there was this research study done in the 90s on young love. And if you are under the age of 25, your prefrontal cortex, which is this part of your brain right here, has not fully developed. And that's the part of our brain that says, hey, not a good idea. You know, if that person's not returning your phone call, don't drive over to their house. Don't go stand in their front yard. Don't look in their windows. Don't do that, right? If somebody doesn't text you back immediately, hey, don't text them 50 times. Don't do that. That's not a problem. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. No. You guys are like, wait a minute. I've done some of those things. Whoa, hitting too close to home here. Don't do that. So obsession is what the prefrontal cortex controls. And as we age, we get the ability to control that. But it's at the same time a word illustration of how we want to control how we view our patients. Right? It's that we want to continually put them to the front of our mind. I love this quote from Maya Angelou. It says, "A person may forget what you say, but they will never forget the way you made them feel." Person may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Which is why we want to take a couple of the service standards that are on our list and synthesize them into this one idea of patient obsession. So we have 3 that I'm going to target today. I'm going to say these multiple times. So one of them, my favorite one actually, is we walk people to their destination. We don't point, right? Another one is be present with a guest, give them your full attention. And another one is every time you see a guest or encounter a guest, make sure you smile and be present with them. And we do that because we want to be patient-focused, because we want to remember what Maya Angelou taught us. And the truth is, a lot of times, we have to engineer the feeling. A lot of the best companies do this, and you can actually have a little fun with it if you ever notice it. So here, one of the companies is Disney. So Disney has something called the 5-10 rule. Anybody ever heard of the 5-10 rule? So if you're within 10 feet of a person in a park, one of the Disney parks, if you're going to Disney anytime soon, try this out, Marley. If you're within 10 feet, they have to smile at you. If you're within 5 feet, they have to say hello, right? So find that 5-foot line and just kind of dance on it a little bit. And watch them go. Right? Because that is part of orientation. Like if you see a guest within 10 feet and you're sweeping, stop and smile. Or if they start to come close to you, you say, hello, good afternoon, how are you doing? That you're always intentionally programming the response, right? The same thing is true of Chick-fil-A, right? Every time you say thank you, they say, they've programmed you all too, right? What's really fun to do is to try to beat them to the my pleasure. That's really fun. So anytime you say, they say thank you to you, be like, hey, my pleasure. And they'll be like, how dare you? But by following these 3 engineered principles or these protocols, we can create the same experience. And again, we're not trying to manufacture feeling or manufacture emotion. We're trying to be intentional with emotion, right? And so when you start out in service standard creation, you think to yourself, how can I be intentional? How can I create Disney-style service experience so that the number one thing a patient's going to experience is a feeling, that they're going to feel cared for, right? That's what we want to do, right? We want to lead with feeling. And that's why our critical actions are what? Yes, gosh, a year ago, people wouldn't have known that. Amazing. But we're intentional about it, right? And that's why we've baked it into the entire process. We have a very specific script that we want people to follow in a billing conversation, in a room conversation. Not that we want you to follow the intent of the actual word of the script, but we want you to follow the emotional dialogue. John Maxwell has another really good quote, similar to Maya Angelou's, and he says, nobody cares about what you know until they know that you care. Nobody cares about what you know until they know that you care. Because and think about that in your own life, right? How many people say, I know somebody that, man, they are quick with some advice, right? Like I tell them a problem and boom, they've given me some advice. And I didn't need that. I just wanted them to sit with me for a second in it, right? I just want them to be in my pain with me, or be in my anxiety with me, or be in my discomfort with me, right? And why do we want that? We want that because of the same reason that a patient would want that. Because we want to feel like, hey, before this person just rushes in and tries to do something for me and tries to change my situation, I want to know that they're actually in it for my best interest. That what they're recommending, what order they're putting in the chart, whatever pathology they're explaining to me, whatever they're recommending for me, that they care about me. It's not just some protocol they're following. And that's why we try to create flexibility in decision-making, flexibility in how we do things, because if we don't create this systemized approach to the way we make people feel, they're never going to trust us, right? Okay. So how do we really do this? It's with the pillars. Who knows our 3 marketing uniques? I'd be really impressed if you actually know these. Fresh Air is the acronym. Access, incredible experience, and rapid relief, right. So we build all those around these 3 pillars. Very similar, actually, to the 3 Amazon pillars. Amazon, when they first started their company, Jeff Bezos was asked, how do you know what product to launch next? Or how do you know what system to put in place? Or how do you know like what's going to happen in the future? How do you always seem to be ahead of the curve when it comes to like growing your company? And he said, it's not about knowing the future. It's about knowing exactly what a customer always wants. And so for Amazon, it's 3 things. It was always low prices, a lot of selection, and fast delivery. He was like, in 10 years, people are still going to want low prices, a huge selection, and fast delivery. So whatever we build fits one of those pillars. I guarantee you, a lot of people right now are thinking about AI, right? Gosh, what's that going to do to healthcare? What's that going to do to nurses? What's it going to do to the front desk? What's it going to do to doctors? You got radiologists that are starting to like not have opportunity because AI is reading CT scans. That's all true. Things are changing. Things are updating. Patients, they're always going to want to get in same day. They're always going to want to make sure they get treated right with a good experience, and they're always going to want a fast answer or quick relief. Those will always be true. From now and 20 years from now, even when robots are running the system, they're still going to want to get in the same day. They're still going to want a great experience, and they're still going to want to have some rapid relief. So if we build our system on those things, then we can expect to be the same every time. So I really want you today to feel a sense of empowerment. We're not going to take away the service standards of, don't point, make sure you smile, and be attentive. But I really want you to feel like this sense of like, okay, if I see a need, and maybe it's not necessarily getting in the same day for ease of access, but maybe it's I'm going to answer a question really quick. Or I'm going to make sure somebody gets a phone call answered as fast as possible. Or I'm going to make sure that if the patient's waiting a little bit longer, I'm going to get them a free cup of coffee. Or I'm going to make sure that if somebody's confused about something, billing-wise, I'm going to discount this so that people get this sense of ease or relaxation faster. I'm going to feel empowered to make sure people find that one of those 3 tenets, ease of access, incredible experience, or rapid relief. Because It's not always sinus problems in the healthcare space that are causing our congestion, right? Sometimes it's getting an appointment. Sometimes it's being in the waiting room. Sometimes it's a kid that's running around the waiting room making me feel embarrassed. Sometimes it's my bill that's too high. Whatever it is, we want to try to follow those 3 pillars and be empowered to do it. I love the Ritz-Carlton Association. They empower almost their entire team members to err on the side of doing something when you see a problem. Like if somebody's having an issue or there's a guest that's like not having a great experience, go out of your way to do something. Better to be in trouble for doing something a little too much than not doing something at all, right? I would much rather have a conversation with like, what? You did, okay, I mean, we're going to make it through that, but wow, you spent that much money on making that patient better, as opposed to, yeah, that person was freaking out and didn't do anything about it, right? Feel empowered to do something. And I want you to remember, instead of remembering like, walk, don't point, or be attentive, I want you to remember these 3 W's. The first one I want you to remember is welcome, right? So the first time you see a patient, the first time that somebody's in, make them feel like you want them to be there. Like, welcome. We used to have a programmed response for our guest experience team that they were greeted within 5 seconds of being here. Instead of that, just make them feel welcomed. Put that cell phone in that locker and make them feel welcomed. Number 2, did I get it? Oh, it's right here. Walk. I'm going to walk over here. Walk with them. And that's not only physically. Let's proverbially walk with them. If they don't understand something, or they can't figure something out, or they're not figuring out the kiosk. Where's Maria? There she is. Maria gets off that desk. 100 times a day. And it's always, these people, doctor, they're going to kill me. Just kidding. That's not true. My Maria. Or walk with them in their pain. Walk with them what they're going through, right? I'll tell you who's really good at this, and we may make fun of him from time to time, but Steve. Steve is really good at walking a patient through every part of the procedure. You're about to feel a poke. All right, you're going to hear some popping and clicking. All right, now you're going to hear you're going to feel some vibrations. Right? He's like right there in their ear, walking through that procedure with them. Sometimes awkwardly. The last one is wonder. What I mean by that is like really try to understand what's going on with them. Like this is what I love about these scripts that some of the providers use, and I've loved some of the stories that have come out of this. But when you meet these patients for the first time, and I'm here for my sinus and allergies. Well, what's going on? Well, I can't do X. Okay, well, tell me more about that. Let's get a CAT scan. Let's get an allergy test. Let's go through all the different steps, and let's walk over here across the hallway. Let's go meet the financial team. And this is so-and-so from the financial team, and they're here. This patient is here to really get a lot of relief from X. Oh, my goodness. They remembered X. It wasn't the CT scan. It wasn't the allergy test. It wasn't the amount of polyps I had in my nose. It wasn't the inflammation they saw. It was that they were partnering with me because they wondered, right? They really cared about what was going on. So here's your picture for the week. Be obsessed. Put them in the forefront of your mind. Send them 25 text messages. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But you're going to welcome them. You're going to walk with them. And you're going to wonder, what are they doing here? And if you do this, and you feel empowered, and this is, again, not just that first visit. It's every part of the journey. To try to challenge, how do I make this better? How do I meet a patient where they are? And how can I really ask them or make sure that they're always in the forefront of my mind? How do I keep them right here? Sound good? Sound good? Cool.